Welcome to the Be Savvy Show. I'm your host, Clara Rose. Every week we talk about matters of influence, crafting your message for the world, all of those things that matter when we're trying to build a business, ministry, cause, or brand. So, on some weeks, I actually even have a guest, which is always super exciting for me, someone who's doing something unique in the world, or like today, somebody who is actually one of my clients, one of the authors that I have worked with. And I'm super excited to have her here. Represents an entire year worth of hard work on both of our parts. And when it finally gets published, it's such an exciting time. And I love to have them on the show to talk about what they've done and to celebrate with them. So today, please help me welcome my newest author, Katy Meilleur. Are you with me? There you are, my
Yes. Hi,
friend.
Clara.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, like moments ago, something arrived in the mail at your house. What was it?
That's right. It's my new book that you helped me with,
Yay!
The Flight.
It's such an exciting time when you actually, like when they arrive, when you get it in your hot little hand for the first time. It's the final version. It just represents a lot of effort, right? So let's talk about this journey. What made you say, hey, I'm going to hire Clara to write it, help me write this book or help me put this book out there? Tell me about that journey.
Yeah, well, it's the story about my family's escape from communism when I was a baby. And I've always told this story when people ask me where I'm from. And if I bring up that I'm from Russia, this story comes up. And since I've had kids, they'll say, "Tell the story, Mom, tell the story." So I realized this is a really great story and that my dad, although he passed away in '06, he had written it down as part of his memoirs. And so I decided to tell the story at a broader level.
Which is such a cool thing. I call it a legacy project, but it really is something that will live forever. It's your family story that will live on beyond you and your children and your children's children. Like for generations, your father's words are out there and you've helped make that happen. And that is such a super exciting thing. So you had a manuscript. Part of it wasn't even in English, right?
That's right. That's right. The
So
second half about our escape was in English, but the first half about his life in the Soviet Union was in Russian.
And so what did you do about that?
Well, when I decided to publish it, I decided, why don't I write his whole story? And I found the Russian portion, the first half, and I had it translated. And then I talked to my half sister from his first marriage, who grew up in the Soviet Union, did not escape communism with us. And she was happy to help me and said, by the way, I was a translator for a living. So she helped make sure the translation really came through what my father was saying in his writing, because translation's tricky. It can simply be the words or it can be the meaning of what the person was saying. So she, using her professional expertise, was able to really help me. And also, having grown up in the Soviet Union, she understood the idiosyncrasies of what my dad was trying to say that I could not, because that was not my experience. I grew up near Washington, D.C. in the U.S., and she grew up in Moscow in Russia. So she really helped me to bring out my dad's true message.
Yeah, interesting. Along the way, you mentioned things like, you learned so much about your father in this process, right? Things that you understood him differently after this versus, before having gone through this process. So that was an interesting thing for you, wasn't it? To like go, oh, there's this other whole other side to this man, right? To my father.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, it's fascinating how little we really know about our parents' lives
Mm,
before we're a certain age, unless we ask or unless
mm.
they do something like this. They write their memoirs. And I had obviously heard his stories, but not all of them. And I was shocked to find out he had another wife, for example, but also was shocked to find out that
Oh,
he had been through so much
yes.
suffering
Mhm,
as a child and young
mhm.
adult that there is no way that I could have understood that in my teens or even 20s. But now that I'm older and have more experience myself, it's been an extremely kind of cathartic experience reading this as an adult.
So you didn't know about that he had been married before. Did you know about your half sister prior to this?
So yeah, I knew about her mom, but he had a third wife. That was the one that was the surprise to me. So
So yeah,
before
things
my
that you just
mom.
don't talk about, right? With your with your family, with your children or whatever.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
he has passed away a few years ago, right? But today is a special day. What is today?
Today is his birthday and he would have been 98. So
Mm,
that's why I really
98.
wanted to release
Mm.
the book on his birthday. And the timing just worked out well for that.
That yeah, that really did, because we intended to go to press, like September-ish, but the process always takes longer than you think, right? There's the edits and the future edits, and then you actually even wrote, like the an intro and then a conclusion, so that was a new journey for you as well. So it wasn't just his words that you needed to make sure were, the right things to get out to the world, but then you added on the front and the end. So, is this your first time writing something that went out to the world?
Yes, it is my first book. I have published in scientific literature, but this is my first kind of nonfiction
Mhm.
effort.
So, you're what is it that you do then? You're publishing in journals or whatever. Tell us about what you do.
Yeah, I do drug development now. And so I publish in journals like neurology, for example. I work in neurology diseases. I'm trying to develop drugs for Parkinson's and or similar diseases to Parkinson's.
So definitely have the technical writing skill. It's just the other side, right? Right. That's just new and unique and different. So so
Yes.
in this part, we actually met through an organization that we were in together. And then when you reached out and said, "Hey, I'd love to work on this book," just share with my audience a little bit, if you would be so kind, about how the process has been working with my company to help you get this done.
Yeah, it's been really a joy. I think that it would have been overwhelming to try to do this by myself. And so your company's really helped me to break it down into manageable bite-sized pieces and create an order to it. And it's been a real joy to work with you to get your edits and your feedback on the story, to make sure the story fits the general audience in the US because, like I mentioned, it had some idiosyncrasies that only like a Soviet audience might have understood. So just helping to make sure the language fits and getting the whole publication process done, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just don't know what you don't know when you start a project like that, which is why you just hire somebody. Yeah. And then, of course, this is like a legacy project or a family project, but I know that moving forward, you're looking forward to maybe doing something else, and you're a comedian, right? Which just when I
That's right.
learned that, that just cracked me up. I'm like, you just don't seem you just seem so prim and proper, and you work in the medical field and you just seem so reserved, and then to find out that you're a comedian, just it made me laugh. So tell us a little bit about the comedy, and you use some of these stories, don't you, in your
Yeah,
comedic
that's right.
routines? Yeah.
As you may know, a lot of comedians use stories about their own, experience growing up as immigrants and the kind of language barriers with their parents that they have, and also the different rearing that happens in other countries that's different from the way it's done in the US. So there's just a lot of comical moments that happen in immigrant families. And so I do use a lot of that in my comedy. My main routine right now is about how I grew up in the US during the Cold War with the initials KGB. So it's a lot of fun, and I use different accents, and it's just been a blast for me to release this other side of myself that's
Mm,
a free spirit.
that's a little less reserved, a little more wild, huh? That is funny
Yes,
that
exactly.
you had the initials KGB, so that is kind of funny. So moving forward, of course, uh, you intend to do other things and put other books out there. At least you've talked about that. Should people be watching for other books to come out by, you know, author Katy Meilleur?
Yeah, one thing I'm thinking about doing is working on a project with my husband about what it's like to be in a marriage with one partner with ADHD. It's challenging, and I feel like we've come through a lot of struggles, and I could bring some comedy into that too, for sure. So, that's one thing I'm thinking about doing as
Mm,
well.
mm. So definitely people should, first of all, get their hands on this book and read it because it really is an amazing story. As a matter of fact, I don't have the actual physical copy. I still have one of the proof copies, so it says, not for resale on it. But just in the process of editing it, there was like anxious moments, right? As you're reading this story, as they're like at the airport waiting to see if they're going to get arrested, and right, so there's just like this, there's an intensity to it, but also he did such a beautiful job explaining how life was, right, the circumstances that they lived in, and so he did a beautiful job. He was obviously highly educated, even though a bit of an orphan, right? He was highly educated,
Mhm.
and I'm super impressed with the quality of the storytelling that he did. And then, of course, we had to massage a few things, but it just is a really great book, a really great story of overcoming and uh, attaining the American dream. Right? They
Yeah.
escaped communist Russia. I mean, right? That sounds like a movie, doesn't it? So maybe we ought to talk
It does
about
sound
doing
like a
some sort of a screenplay or something, because that totally sounds like it would be a great movie. Um,
No,
so
that's not a bad
yeah,
idea. Someone
right?
commented to me that it's reminiscent of Arlo, the movie Arlo, which is a story about an escape on a plane as well.
Okay.
So,
Okay, interesting. We have to think about that. The book also is full of great pictures. They're old black and white pictures of family members. There's some pictures of the troops because he was in the service. There's some pictures of
mhm.
you when you were a little person, your mom, and then in the back there's a whole bunch of great pictures that we threw in just for um, to add context to the story and just give it some more to kind of fill it out. So super fascinating book. Um, Available on Amazon. It's freshly out, so you can go on Amazon and purchase yourself a copy. Um, Great read, great Christmas present. It's not too late to get something out for Christmas. Um, there's some maps, there's a family tree, everything that you could ever want to know about what was going on in this story is in this book. Super exciting. Your cover designer did a beautiful job on your cover. I don't show us the whole cover with that you have, because mine isn't as
Yeah,
clean as
sure.
yours. So did a
Let me
beautiful job
see.
of just capturing that kind of menacing Soviet Union feel. So he did really beautiful work. I was super impressed with that. And I see on the back cover there's a picture of you and somebody, and who's that?
This is my half sister Emma, who
Your
helped
half
me
sister, Emma,
greatly with this project, and
with
it was
this
really a
process.
pleasure to work with her. Yeah.
And you really got to spend some time and get to know her, which was a pretty cool thing too. And then you spent
Yeah,
some time with
she's
your
very
mother,
kind.
didn't you, through this process?
Yeah, in fact, that was the other thing that drove me to complete this project because she is older now, and I definitely needed her input to do it well. And so that bumped this project up to a high priority for me this year. I've been meaning to do it for a few years now, and I realized it's now or never. I need to get
Right.
this done while she's living so I can have her input. And we spent hours and hours. She went through every chapter with me.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really fascinating is when she got that copy you have, the not for resale copy, the early proof, she read the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing and it made her so anxious because she relived this very tense
Sure.
story of our escape and she couldn't put it down. So I'm hoping that it's got that same excitement for other
Mm.
people. There's a real suspense to it at the end, especially, and it's just a great story about survival, suspense, and human triumph against all odds. So, for anyone who wants to read a good story about what it's like to overcome incredible odds, go through suffering, go through a lot of prejudice and still come out and make it successfully. It's a story for you. It's a story for every human, I would say.
And I actually found it really fascinating as we work through the final pieces of it, and you talk about it some in the conclusion, um, that the immigrant experience, in light of everything that's going on right now in our world, with um, the the illegals and all of the controversy over all that, how you just pointed out, what, the being an immigrant, we have a different perspective, right? And so that was interesting to me to see it from your eyes. I mean, you're an you're an immigrant in that you weren't born here, but you were like an infant, right? So you don't know anything but this life, but your parents certainly had a different experience, right? Coming to this country
Yeah,
and truly
that's
being
right.
immigrants. But becoming citizens and being a part of our culture, and it just was interesting to me to see your perspective on the other side of it. So I found that fascinating. I think that readers will find that fascinating as well. So anything else you'd like to share with our audience about the book or the journey or anything before we tell them where they can find it and how they can get it and all those things? Anything else they might
Yeah,
want to know?
I think it's also a testament to friendship and what true friends will do for each other. My friend's dad, Victor, in the story, really risked his life for my dad. So there's a lot of um, just beauty around sincere friendship and deep friendship in the story as well. And then the conclusion, I talk about um, what happened afterwards and how we were reunited with my dad's two friends and my half sister. So.
Yeah, so cool. Now, your dad did something interesting, like after he was in the U.S., had become a citizen, and he actually was on the radio, right? He was in
Yes.
um, yeah, I'm not under his own name. He used a different name, but he was on the radio and speaking to uh, about political things, speaking to people in Russia, right?
Yes, he worked for the government Voice of America, the agency that broadcast behind the Iron
Mhm.
Curtain about Western news. And he was a translator, an editor, and a broadcaster. And when he would use this pseudonym, he would go on the air. A few people recognized him, like my half sister Emma's mom. And when we went back in 1997, Moscow had its 850th anniversary, and we went back after the fall of communism and met our relatives for the first time. We went to his old workplace, and they said, "That was you on the radio, wasn't it?" So it was really incredible for me to see that people had been listening to him and listening to Western news instead of communist propaganda. So that was just maybe contributed ultimately to the fall of communism. I'll never know, but it's really neat to see that maybe if these people were listening to him, others were too.
Absolutely. I'm sure that they were. Whether they recognize, I mean, knowing they didn't know who it was necessarily, but they were getting news that was truthful versus, well, as truthful as news is, right? Versus what they were being fed, spoon fed, the propaganda that they were getting. So, so cool. When you went back, you said you met, all your family for the first time. Who all did you meet? Was there like cousins and aunts and uncles and all sorts of people?
Yes, it was my dad's side, my mom's side, my aunts and uncles and their kids. Exactly. Unfortunately, both of my grandmothers had passed away during the 16 to 20 years that we couldn't go back. But at least we met and were reunited with other family members and have kept in touch with the
Mm.
majority of them.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So this legacy piece just did so much more than what you set out to do, right? It just reconnected so many different pieces of your life, which is just so cool. And I'm completely honored that you chose me to be a part of this journey with you. It's been super fun, and of course, as usual, after spending so much time with somebody that so it's kind of almost an intimate thing when you're sharing so deeply that now we're friends, right? So we actually went to an event together, and when the book was first coming out, and so it's just been a cool process to um, make a friend out of a client once again. So thank you for choosing
Thank
me
you,
for this
Claire.
project. Hopefully, if
Yeah,
you do
no, it's
another
been a
project in the
blast and I really
future,
appreciate it.
and I would love to be a part of your next project if you do something new as well. Okay, so you can go to Amazon and find The Flight, How My Family Outsmarted the KGB, or you can go to any local bookstore. It should show up on the expanded distribution list. So you can order a copy there. And then, of course, we have provided Katie's email. If you would like to get multiple copies, or you would like to speak to the author, you can drop her an email, and she can answer your questions, or get you multiple copies or whatever you'd like to do. I know some people like to buy in bulk, and it's always best if you can get it directly from the author, or if you'd like an autographed copy, which I may be the only nerd out there that likes those, but I'm totally an autograph copy person. So I'll often reach out to authors and said, "Hey, can I get an autograph copy?" So you can reach out to her at Author Katy Meilleur at gmail.com. And then, of course, if you would like more information about her journey, I'm sure she'd be happy to share as well. So, okay, my friend, thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know that you're taking time out of work to be here. Shh, we won't tell anybody. But thank you for coming on the show and sharing this time with me. I appreciate your time so much.
Thanks, Clara. Have a great day.
All righty. All righty, you too. So there you have it. Katie's new book is out and available. This legacy project was super fun for me. It's not something that I do all of the time. So much of my stuff is business specific. business, ministry, cause, brand development stuff. So it's always fun to step out of that a little bit and do a memoir or a legacy project of some sort. So that was super fun for me as well. And if you, of course, would like to be on the show, if you are an author or you're doing something interesting or unique in the world and would like to be on the show, please drop me an email over at hello@clararose.com and tell me what it is that you do and what you would like to talk about on the show. Or you can drop over to craftingyourmessage.com and click on the contact link and fill out the form. There's a little quick form, or you can just hop on the scheduler and pick a time. You'll see that you have different reasons based on the tab. So it says you want to be on Clara's show, click on that one, and it'll drop you into my schedule for 15 minutes, and we can talk about you being on the show and see if you're a good fit for the show and if I'm a good fit for you. Okay, before we go, I always like to talk briefly about the Savvy Author membership. If you are thinking you are ready to write your book, I invite you to check out the Savvy Author membership. You can hop on over to craftingyourmessage.com and it will show you the 3 ways that you can work with our company. Ghostwriting services, where of course I write for you, co-writing, where I write with you, or do your editing, or the Savvy Author membership, which of course is a group setting. So the membership offers you everything that you need to know to get your book written, from the very beginning stages where you get the brainstorm and blueprint process done and get all of that content out of your head, all the way through the writing, the editing, the formatting, all of the pieces to get to a final published project. And then, of course, helping you publish and launch your book out to the world. If you're interested, hop on over, click on the link. It's going to tell you all of the things you get in the membership, and it will tell you all about the community that we have built around the Savvy Author membership and the value that comes, the accountability value that comes from having a group of people checking in on you, making sure that you're getting the writing done. And of course, somebody to bounce ideas off of, all of those pieces that come with writing a book, the journey of writing a book. And I would love to chat with you. If you want more information about that, you can check on the website and click on the link to get on my schedule to talk about that as well, if you're interested. All right, my friend, that is all that I have for you today. Thank you for once again showing up to support me and what it is that I do, showing up to see my guests or hear me talk about ways that you can craft your message for the world or other matters of influence building. This is the holiday season. I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I will see you again soon. Take care.